Whether you love him, like him, hate him, or really hate him, there is no denying that LeBron James is one of the best players to ever grace the court of basketball and the NBA. The chosen one may have taken a while to get his first ring, but he's made the most of his career, which is a long one. But in his time with the Los Angeles Lakers, he's had record highs and crushing lows. And with this season being a bust, many are wondering if his time in LA is done for. So where could he go? Allow us to show you how LeBron James could join the 76ers and create a big three in a proposed trade. Number 5. LeBron. LeBron James recently made history after overtaking Utah Jazz legend Karl Malone to become the second best scorer of all time. The King has struggled to lead his team to the top of the Western Conference, as the Los Angeles Lakers are well under the .500 mark. Still, if he wasn't there, many people believe the situation would be worse for the purple and gold. Though being out of the playoffs potentially and not having a chance for the title would be the definition of couldn't get much worse. Just saying. A lot has been said about James's future in the league, especially knowing that his son Bronny could make it to the association in a couple of years. He's tied to the Lakers until 2023, and once his contract is up, he can sign with whomever he wants. However, there were rumors suggesting he could leave the franchise a lot earlier than expected, given the bad results they were getting this campaign. During the 2022 All-Star Weekend, many rumors surfaced, suggesting he could be living his last days as a Laker. The Cleveland Cavaliers were mentioned as a possible destination for the 37-year-old, even more when he said he could play one more time with them. James clarified his comments, but that didn't mean it was the end of the story. Number 4. The 76ers. After that, many people decided to predict what would happen with LeBron James, with some proposing big trades involving the 4-time NBA champion. Sports Illustrated's Chris Mannix and Howard Beck recently discussed this topic, with Beck picking the Philadelphia 76ers as a potential destination for the legend. The craziest one in all of this, could you send him to the Sixers to play with Harden and Embiid? Beck pondered during an episode of the crossover NBA show Via Heavy. I know there's too many guys who are going to want to have the ball in their hands. We're already experiencing this with the Lakers team. But Sixers GM Daryl Morey absolutely would do it. Could you get Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle out of it? And then they offload Tobias Harris and give Daryl more flexibility in his payroll? I don't know. Again, folks, I'm just spitballing. I'm not making serious trade proposals here. Don't freak out. Now, this does seem like an appealing trade for the 17-time NBA champions, who could easily go into rebuilding mode after this terrible season. They assembled a team full of veterans, and the Sixers could give them the youth they need, even trading young stud Tyrese Maxey. It is interesting, Mannix responded. I think you'd want more. You'd want picks, and the Sixers gave up a bunch of them to the Nets, or a couple of them. LeBron's tenure with the Lakers has been bittersweet. Yes, he won the NBA championship in 2020, but everybody believes that was a big fluke, since the Lakers played in the infamous Orlando bubble with no pressure from rival fans and with many players showing their desire to leave that place as soon as possible. Not to mention the teams, and the Lakers especially, had months of resting and healing, so they were basically playing at full power, which they've never been able to replicate since. And not so ironically, many of the other teams they faced had injuries on their squads during the playoffs, including the Miami Heat that they beat in the finals. So thus, many feel there is an asterisk there, but hey, we digress. The Sixers were one of his potential landing spots when he decided to leave Cleveland in 2018, but his wife made him select Los Angeles. Now, things could be different for the King. If he goes to Philly, he'd create a terrific trio with James Harden and Joel Embiid. Even though it could all go wrong, it could happen, especially knowing that Daryl Morey loves having superstars on his teams. This is all speculation, and we'll have to wait until the offseason to see if the Sixers or any other team decides to make a move for LeBron. Number 3, the Mavericks. However, another team has entered the mix. It is the Dallas Mavericks. Talking in an interview, Dallas Mavericks owner and billionaire Mark Cuban talked about his plans to get Bronny James. Cuban said, "It could be 3 years from now. It wouldn't suck, let's put it that way. It was really smart by LeBron. The host adds, someone's gonna probably draft him a little bit higher now because you got LeBron for his farewell season, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4. Although Cuban revealed that he hasn't thought about the prospect of getting Bronny and LeBron, he doesn't rule anything out for the future. While this may not seem like much, Cuban is honestly playing it smart here. Not the least of which is that this is seasons away and some people still aren't sure how Bronny's skills will translate to the NBA. Not unlike how they felt about LeBron even with his chosen one status. And given the wide swinging that the league has done in terms of who's on top and who's not over the past few seasons, Cuban's Mavericks might not even be in the running to go and get Bronny and thus LeBron for an interesting run. Cuban is focused on right now with his team, which is smart because he honestly does have a lot going for his squad, especially with Luka Doncic still playing at a high level. Plus, there are rumors going around about what might be coming their way in terms of their own blockbuster deal. Number 2, the Warriors. This was a rumor that came around the trade deadline and is still causing people's heads to spin, because some think that the longtime rivals to LeBron and his teams, especially during his second run in Cleveland, could be the team that he ends up with next, the Golden State Warriors. A team like the Golden State Warriors have some options to put in a trade package in exchange for a star. With Andrew Wiggins revamping his trade value, he'd serve as the centerpiece of any deal from an appeal standpoint, and also in terms of salary matching. There would need to be extra salary included, and James Wiseman could be the simplest option to do so. He'd also bring another young player for the Lakers to build around going forward. Adding in a few first-round picks and Moses Moody would add more appeal for the Lakers to give consideration to this idea. Again, a trade involving James would be in a circumstance where it's clear his future is not in Los Angeles. And let's be honest here, the Warriors in the past have brought in ringers to help ensure their squad's success. They went to 2 finals with just Curry, Thompson, and Green, then went to 3 more with Kevin Durant on their squad. Injuries are plaguing the Warriors heavily right now again, and so in the offseason, you never know. Number 1, the will of LeBron. This is where things get messy because in truth, we have no idea what LeBron's going to do. That's part of his mystique, if you will. As some sports writers have noted, LeBron is legendary for staying with his teams until the end of his contract. He did that with Cleveland twice, with Miami, and is aiming to do that with the Lakers. So unless they pull the trigger themselves, LeBron is going to stay where he is. Plus, he stated that he's having the time of his life right now. And of course, as noted, his son is aiming to come into the league in a few years. And if he's able to last until then, he'll try and go where his son is so he can build him up for his own career. A lot is up in the air right now, so you might be hearing a lot more rumors like these going forward. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at LeBron James and how he could end up as a Philadelphia 76er? Do you think there's a chance this might honestly happen? Or do you think this is yet another too good to be true trade that will likely fall apart or backfire once the team gets together? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.